Mario Lemieux or Wayne Gretzky, number 66 or number 99. Who the greatest hockey player is usually boils down to these two, the great one or the magnificent one. To decide who is the greatest, these two will be put against one another in several categories. So, let's start with the very beginning. Wayne Gretzky was born on the 26th of January 1961 in Brantford, southeastern Ontario, Canada. At age 6, he joined his first hockey team where he played with and against 10-year-olds. By the time he was 11, he had scored 378 goals in 69 games. This made him so big of a star that he even had the nation's attention. At 16, arenas were packed just to watch him play in the junior league. He later turned pro in 1978, where he signed a contract with the Indianapolis Racers, but it would be for the Edmonton Oilers he would start to make his mark in the NHL. He won the Hart Trophy for the most valuable player, a trophy he would make sure stayed with him for almost a decade by winning it 8 times in a row after his first one. He is the only player to have ever done this, by the way. Mario Lemieux, on the other hand, was born in Montreal, Quebec on October 5, 1965. Much like Wayne Gretzky, the unwavering support of his parents turned him into a child prodigy. As a 16-year-old, Lemieux was tearing up the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, or GMJHL, by racking 96 points in 64 games. He would leave the QMJHL with quite a bang as well. In 70 games, he scored 282 points, which included 133 goals. No one had been able to come close to the single-season point and goal record, let alone break it. That's why when the 1984 NHL entry draft came along, there was no debate that Mario would be number 1 overall, and the struggling Pittsburgh Penguins would be the lottery winners to select him. Being first overall in a draft comes with its expectations, and Lemieux lived up to it. In his first NHL game against the Bruins, he won possession in his first play and scored a goal on his first shot. This was just a sign of what was to come, as just in his rookie year, he bagged 43 goals and 100 points while winning Rookie of the Year and being the All-Star Game MVP. Stellar starts to their careers is something these two have in common, but the course of their careers were far from similar. In his first season with the Oilers, Wayne Gretzky became the first player under 20 to reach 100 points, and though he won his first Hart Memorial Trophy, he couldn't win the Calder Trophy for the rookie year. And this was simply because he had already played during the previous year as a young player in the World Hockey Association, which was a professional league major league in the 70s. Anyway, Gretzky spent most of his playing career in Edmonton, where he broke many records on his route to complete a two-peat with the Oilers twice. Despite winning the Stanley Cup for the 4th time, financial burdens prevented Edmonton from keeping Gretzky. This news rocked the whole country, as Canada was losing one of its greatest national treasures. Gretzky was southbound to Los Angeles, but he was still a hero in the eyes of every Canadian. His 7+ seasons with the Kings weren't as impressive as his time with the Oilers, but he did help them reach their first Stanley Cup final in 1993. The last years of his career were spent with the New York Rangers from 1996 to 1999. Here, the number 99, who had done wonders in the NHL for about 2 decades, would hang his pair of skates for good in a farewell fitting for the legend. Based on these notable moments, maybe Gretzky is the greatest player ahead of Lemieux, right? Well, let's see for the number 66. In the 1987-88 season, Lemieux broke Gretzky's 7-year streak of the Art Ross Trophy while winning the MVP. Gretzky had finally met a worthy challenge. In 1989, Lemieux's 199-point season brought him very close to Gretzky's 215-point season, more than any other plate had done before, and Lemieux would have very likely crossed 200 points if he hadn't missed 4 games. Nevertheless, his efforts meant the Penguins would make the playoffs for the first time in years. But when things were picking up for Super Mario, disaster struck as a back problem that would require surgery limited him to playing only 26 games in the 1990-91 season. But the best was yet to come, and he would be fit for the playoffs. There he put up an MVP performance to give the Penguins their first Stanley Cup in their first final appearance. His 44-point playoff run was second to Gretzky's 47 in 1985. The season after followed a similar path, with the Penguins defending the Stanley Cup and Super Mario retaining the Conn Smythe Trophy. But just when Lemieux and the Penguins were on top of the world, there was news that would break their hearts. In January 1993, Lemieux made his cancer diagnosis public. Following treatment, he was on the ice again, but things just weren't the same as before. His back would ache from time to time, and this pushed him to retire after the 1997 playoffs. He had won the scoring title, but he felt that was it for his career. Given all that he has achieved, it wasn't surprising when he became a Hall of Famer that same year. But surprise, surprise, at the turn of the new millennia, word was going around that Lemieux was coming out of retirement, and by December 2000, he had returned. It is believed that he did this because his son Austin had never seen him play. And guess what? Lemieux even took the Penguins as far as the Eastern Conference Finals and came out third in the Hart Trophy voting. But he was just a fraction of the player he once was, and in 2006, he retired again, this time for good. The Magnificent One definitely had a more tumultuous career, but how does his trophy cabinet fare in terms of team achievements with that of Gretzky's own? With these two, it's not a question of if they won the Stanley Cup, but how many times they did. Well, Lemieux and the Penguins won it back-to-back in 1991 and 1992, but by then Gretzky had already won it back-to-back twice with the Oilers in 1984 and 1985, and in 1987 and 1988. So Gretzky takes this one for sure. As for country titles, Gretzky is a 3-time Canada Cup winner and a World Cup runner-up. Lemieux won his only Canada Cup playing with Gretzky in 1987, but has an Olympic medal and a World Cup title to his name. So maybe Mario takes this one, no? Anyway, let's look at their head-to-head. Whenever these two faced off, it was a clash of the titans. They played against each other a total of 27 times, and both of them never went pointless whenever they did. But Lemieux got the better of Gretzky's team only 8 times, as Gretzky came out on top other times. Gretzky's 127 points against the Penguins during his career is the most any player has registered against the franchise in their history, and this is worth mentioning. Nevertheless, these two had done a lot, played with and against each other, won trophies as teammates and at the expense of the other's franchise. But what about individual honors? How do these two hold up in this category? Wayne Gretzky, with a longer career of 20 years, unsurprisingly has more, with 36 total individual honors, including 10 Art Ross trophies, 9 Hart trophies, 5-time scoring leader by season, 5 Lady Byng trophies, 5 Lester B. Pearson awards, and 2 Conn Smythe trophies. These are more than the 19 individual honors, minus the Hall of Fame, that Lemieux has in his 17-year career, with the notable ones including Rookie of the Year, 4 Lester B. Pearson, 6 Art Ross, 3-time scoring leader by season, 3 Hart trophies, and 2 Conn Smythe trophies. But if individual awards fail to point anything out, their stats and total records won't. Mario Lemieux had a roller coaster of a career, playing, getting cancer, recovering, retiring, and making a comeback. It was a sight to see. In all of it, he made 915 appearances, in which he recorded 1,723 points from 690 goals and 1,033 assists. But Wayne Gretzky held more records and put up more mind-blowing stats than Lemieux. In his 20 seasons in the NHL, he made 1,487 appearances, scored 894 goals, and assisted 1,963 times to attain a total of 2,857 points. His goals, assists, and points are the highest in NHL history, making him a god amongst men. Wayne Gretzky also has 40 regular season records, including highest points, assists, and points per game in a season. His resume also includes 15 playoff records and 6 All-Star records. That's over 60 records in the NHL to Gretzky's name alone. The argument could probably end here, and we could tell who the greatest is based on their achievements. But these legends continue to make headlines even after they had stopped playing, and their engagements are worth mentioning. Both players became Hall of Famers the same season they retired, but impacted the game very differently afterward. Gretzky went on to be a minority owner and a coach of the Phoenix Coyotes in 2001 and 2005 respectively, but with no coaching experience, the Coyotes had a rather mediocre spell under them. But as the executive director of the Canadiens men's hockey team, he led them to gold in the 2002 Winter Olympics before having a disappointing run in 2006. Lemieux, on the other hand, had been a transforming force to the Penguins following his retirement. He became a majority owner and did all he could to better the team. He won more Stanley Cups, 3 precisely, as an owner than he did playing. So the Magnificent has had a better post-retirement impact. But where does this take things in the grand scheme of things? It's clear how and why Wayne Gretzky earned the nickname the Great One, but in fewer seasons, Mario Lemieux managed to have a career so remarkable it challenged that of Wayne Gretzky, and that alone is worthy of accolades. Wayne has won more with his team and as an individual than Super Mario, but would that have still been the case if Lemieux had stuck around in the league longer? The 572 games Gretzky played more than Mario has to count for something, considering that that's about 7 seasons worth of games. The fields weren't equal as well, and aside from Lemieux's health, he was playing in a significantly weaker team than Gretzky. The Oilers didn't want Gretzky's talent and skill to be for nothing, so they made sure he had the necessary players to make him as productive as possible. His teammates included Hall of Famers Jari Kurri, Paul Coffey, and Mark Messier. The first time Lemieux could say he had top players as a teammate was when Paul Coffey, Ron Francis, Mark Recchi, and Jaromir Jagr joined him. But this was 5 years into his career, so to be fair, the Penguins didn't do as much for Lemieux the way the Oilers did for Gretzky. This is not to discredit Gretzky's incredible accomplishments at all, but it just leaves the thought of an unanswered question. Did Lemieux do more with less? Anyway, who do you think is the greatest NHL player to skate on ice, Gretzky or Lemieux? Or maybe another player in your mind? Let us know in the comments section. For more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and check out our other interesting videos.